All right, so I am going to be talking to you about the final step in the toffy pipeline, which consists of reorganizing your data. So first, we're going to talk about the current directory structure and a little bit about the motivation behind why we want to reorganize things. I'll show you the overall reorganization that's going to be happening before we dive into the actual notebook. And within that notebook, there are 3 steps that you will be completing to create the appropriate directories. The first step is renaming the FOV folders. Step 2 is combining any partial runs. And the final step is creating a single cohort directory. So this is what your directory structure should look like after running Notebook 4B, which normalized your image data. There's going to be this normalized images directory within the D drive. And within that normalized images directory, there will be separate folders for each run that you have processed in your cohort. And within those, there will be separate folders for each FOV containing the image data that was processed. So as you can see, this has a lot of subdirectories that are separated by run. And so what we wanted to do is to create a single directory for your cohort containing any runs that belong to the cohort. Again, so we're just going to take this kind of convoluted subdirectory structure and turn it into a single directory where within the cohorts directory on the D drive, there will be a folder with your specific cohort name. And then within that, there will be an image data folder containing all of the folders for every FOV in every run in your cohort. And the folder names are going to be specified based on which run they are part of and the new name that we will give them. This is going to make downstream processing much simpler when you process through Arc so that we can just use this one image data directory instead of having to run things multiple times for each separate run in your cohort. Okay, so this is what the actual notebook looks like. Again, it is the 5 rename and reorganize notebook. It is the last step in the toffy pipeline. So there are a few things that you as the user will have to edit, variable names that you need to provide so that we can create the appropriate directory structure. The first is a cohort name. So this is a new name for that folder that's going to created that's going to contain all of your image data. You'll also need to provide the run names that you want to include in this cohort. You can provide it as just a list. As you can see here, there's a TMA1 and a TMA2 provided for this new cohort. In step 2, when you combine the partial runs, you're going to have to provide a phrase that is in each of the run names. And we'll talk about this a little bit more when we dive into step 2. But basically know that you can run step 2 multiple times and you just update this run string and combine different partial runs. So you can run it multiple times. Okay, step 1 is going to be renaming the FOV folders. So as you can see now, they have a default name in the form of FOV and scan. And so this is just produced by the MIBI based on the order that the FOVs were processed in. And so we want to rename these so it's most helpful for the user. And so what we're going to do is pull each of the user provided names from the FOV JSON files, and that's what we're going to change these folder names to. Step 2, combining any partial runs. So again, you may or may not have partial runs, but if you do, such as in this example, there's a first run part 1 and a first run part 2 that may have been result of a MIBI crash or having to restart the run. And so what we want to do again is take that run string variable and say, okay, we want to combine all of the run folders that have the phrase first run. So it'll take both first run part 1 and first run part 2 and combine the FOVs into a single first run directory. The last step is creating a single cohort folder. So we're going to take these 3 separate runs that all belong to the same cohort and combine them into a single image data folder within this cohort named directory we now have. And so again, the run names are going to be prepended so you know exactly what you're looking at. You have the first run rename FOV1, so you can tell exactly what images you're looking at when you open that folder. This is technically an optional step. If you are, for example, going to process it on a run basis for tiled images maybe, then you don't need to combine all the runs into a single image directory. But it is simple if you're only analyzing things on the FOV level. So again, if that's something that you're going to be doing, you can just combine this all into a single directory, and then that'll make running things through Arc a lot simpler. So now that you understand what's going on, again, we have this kind of convoluted subdirectory system that we have combined into a single cohort in the cohorts directory with an image data folder that has all of your processed image FOV folders. And so that's all you need to know about Notebook 5.